Toronto 11-5-1 with a shutout and a 2.65 goals against average. The referee for this game tonight will be Terry Gregson. Swede Knox wearing number 48 and Tim Nowak wearing number 43 are on the lines. The Leafs in blue, the Flyers in white. And let's drop the puck and get this one underway. It's the Flyers and the Leafs. Jason Smith with it for Toronto. Plays it up ahead, and a two-line pass to Tremblay, and we get a whistle.
Well, Roger Neilson felt that he was a little rusty in his first game behind the bench for the Philadelphia Flyers. He said the players helped him out a great deal. Roger Neilson is a great bench boss, though. He is an expert when it comes to strategy behind the bench. He loves to match up other teams' lines. And the players will learn a lot from Roger Neilson. He's been characterized as a defensive coach, and for good reasons. But right now, with the style of play we have in the National Hockey League, I think Bob Clarke knew very well that that's the type of team that he hopes to have and hopes to have ready for the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Still a very bizarre situation. Firing a guy who has a team well above 500, playing very good hockey, and keeping him on as an assistant coach. But hey, if it worked, no one will be questioning it.
Well, I'll tell you, Wayne Cashman, though, is not only a great person, and Roger Neilson thinks the world of this man, but vice versa. These two work together with the New York Rangers, and Wayne Cashman has stayed on as Roger Neilson's assistant coach. He's going to be working with the defenseman. Roger Neilson said before the game that he'll probably have Cash working more with the power play as he did with Tampa. Wayne Cashman is great with players one-on-one. He knows what it takes to play the game. He played it, and he played it well, and each and every night that he came to the arena, he came with his heart on his sleeve, and boy, was he a physical player. Meanwhile, Luke Richardson's in the penalty box for his interference call.
And the Leafs go to work in the power play. It's a power play that has been struggling. But that's the bad news. The good news is their penalty killing has not been struggling. It was perfect against Calgary. Their power play was shut out, however, on Saturday. Matt Sundin, of course, the key to that power play. Here's Mike Johnson with it. He's up there with Sundin and Modin to start things off in the power play. Potvin knocks that away. Matthew Schneider picks it up. Schneider is back at the blue line with Brown as the Leafs come up and try to get something going in the man advantage. Brown feathers it up to the corner. Johnson up after it. Puck rolls loose. Sundin was looking, but the puck quickly cleared by Brind'Amour, one of the best penalty killers in the NHL.
Brind'Amour was smart. He wanted to get his team a line change, so he just threw that puck right down the middle of the ice and headed very quickly to the bench.
1:10 to go in the power play for Toronto. 0-0 the score, just rolling in this one as Modin tips it in. Samuelsson picks it up, and Samuelsson ricochets it off the boards onto the stick of Podin. He will hustle up quickly to the blue line. Podin swings in. Joel Otto was drifting towards the front of the net, but it's broken up, and Schneider starting back for the Leafs. Toronto with 50 seconds to go in the man advantage. Schneider rifles it in. It skips up off the glass and in amongst the spectators.
Well, Mike Murphy was not pleased with his team's performance after Saturday night's game, even though they won. Felix Potvin just put on a great performance himself, as he has been doing as of late. Mike Murphy put the pressure on Felix Potvin. He knows that Felix Potvin is a great goaltender and that Felix Potvin needs that type of pressure. He's placed it on him, but at the same time, Mike Murphy knows that Felix Potvin's got to have some help out front. The team won the game Saturday night. They've been on a pretty good roll, but Mike Murphy sure would have loved to have had some practices to be able to go over some of the fundamentals that this team has got to make sure that they do. The back checking, making sure they play well in their own end if they're going to make the playoffs.
Here comes Steve Sullivan. Well, not to mention some time to work on the power play, which they could use. Potvin out to play it. Gets it up ahead to Zettler. Zettler is in the lineup tonight. Daniel Markov is out. That's the only change from the game on Saturday. Here comes Ford. He'll just clear it down, and that one is tipped up over the glass and play. 12 seconds left in the Toronto power play.
And the Philadelphia Flyers playing without Eric Lindros again. Eric Lindros went to the doctors today. No report as to what the doctors, in fact, have said. They say that the Philadelphia Flyers say that there will be a report on that tomorrow. It's hopeful that Eric Lindros will at least be able to start riding the bicycle and being able to be a little bit more active. Right now, he's been watching television.
Well, the last word on Eric, this was as of Friday. He's out for another 3 or 4 weeks because of that concussion suffered against Pittsburgh. Sean Burke still suffering from back spasms.
Coffey left the game on Saturday against Detroit with back problems.
Todd Warner, a healthy scratch for the Leafs tonight. Here comes Sullivan. Fires a shot. Missed the far corner. Derek King after it. Team's back at even strength. Here's King. Fires one on goal, and that's stopped and held by Hextall. The Leafs did not get a shot on goal during that power play.
Well, that's what the Leafs need to do. If they want to stay on a roll, they've got to shoot that puck. Here's what they've done as of late. Whoa, 5 games in the last, well, 5 games in 8 days, and they won 4 out of those games. Felix Potvin has been one of the main reasons.
Derek King got this shot away.
Well, Hextall went down early, too, as you can see. King got the puck away, but Hextall was already down. This is the puck came to him.
Boy, Derek King, one of many Leafs who'd love to get to the postseason. He hasn't been there since 93, 94. It's been a while between visits. Here's LeClaire moving it up. Zubris is going to the front of the net. Gratton is up there as well on that big line. Ty Domi wheeling his way up towards the corner. Darby Hendrickson up there in support. Trying to dig it loose. Korolev being hemmed in there. Domi back up intended for Korolev, being tied up by Zubris. Korolev and Domi working along the boards. Tight going along the wall. Leafs trying to get it to the slot, but the puck moved out up onto the stick of LeClaire. Gratton leaping up into the play. He's in offside and has to turn back. LeClaire will fire it in, and the Flyers will make a couple of changes on the go. Darby Hendrickson after it. That was Platt who was knocked down up there forechecking. Meanwhile, Therrien with the puck. Up ahead for Brind'Amour. Podine breaking down the middle. Now he'll go hard towards the corner. Potvin out there after it. Podine got a little tied up with him. Here's Ty Domi. Therrien knocks it down. 16:05 to go in the first period. 0-0 the score. Only 1 shot on goal for each team. Leafs making changes. Therrien sends it up around the boards. Here comes Brind'Amour. Daig is with him. Brind'Amour almost picked his way through. Now puck comes out. Daig looking for it. Rolls away from him. Leafs on the way back. Chris King across. Too far for Kennedy. Forbes up ahead to Brind'Amour. Looking around. Daig breaking down the middle. But that play snuffed out at the blue line. Now the puck is fired in by Brind'Amour. He heads to the bench, and Jason Smith controls for Toronto. He has Kennedy up the middle, McCauley as well. He's going to carry it a while.
Flyers only had 4 men on the ice for quite some time. All of a sudden, they realized that they were a man short out there, yet no man in the penalty box.
Did that have anything to do with a new coach back at the bench? Here's Sundin, gets it across in front of the net. Modine was breaking through there, but that was knocked away. Forbes is coming down the middle. Therrien has the puck, fires it through on goal, and that is covered up and held by Felix Potvin. 0-0 to score, 14:40 to go in the first. Thanks, Gord. 14:40 to go in the first period here. 0-0 between Toronto and Philadelphia. Leafs with 1 power play. Flyers haven't had one yet. Johnson steers it down to the corner. Johnson, Modine, and Sundin out there for Toronto. Sundin up to the corner. Working along the boards with Modine to Johnson. That was tipped away. Desjardins couldn't hang on to it. Sundin centered it in front. Modine was turning the other way. Zetler tips it up ahead. Here's Therrien. A little bit too far for Trent Platt. He'll try to climb his way towards it. Bumps Yuskevich along the boards. Platt with some good work will come up with that puck. Works it back for Brind'Amour. Top of the point. Puck fired through by Niinema. That ricochets to the corner. Brind'Amour centers it. Platt trying to lasso that bouncing puck, but it's cleared out by Johnson. Here's Brind'Amour again. And Johnson again. Just rolling it down into Philadelphia territory.
Looked like Nielsen wanted Brind'Amour, Prodine, and Klatt out there against Sundin's line, the best line for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Flyers had a big day on Saturday. Rematch of the Stanley Cup final against the Detroit Red Wings, and they kicked them 6-1 the final score. Daig had the hat trick. And the power play right on, going 4 for 6.
Well, the Philadelphia Flyers finally beat a good team. They consider the fact that Detroit, Dallas, New Jersey, and Colorado are the 4 best teams in the league. And this season so far, and the 10 games that they've now played those teams, they finally won a game.
At 1-7-2 against that group of teams. Potvin gets caught there out of his net. Here's King. Up to Hendrickson. Darby Hendrickson waiting for the reinforcements. Derek King and Sullivan moving up there, but back the other way comes Daig. In over the line with Sillinger. Derek King clears it back out. Nienema legs over to pick it up. Here comes Sullivan. Sullivan shoots. Derek King picks it up. Sullivan was bumped along the boards by Richardson for his trouble. Berezin across for Brown. That bounces wide. Sullivan going after it. Berezin comes over, down low to Derek King. Gets it back out. Berezin chopped one on goal, and Hextall hangs on to it. 12:53 to go in the first. 0-0 the score. We're back in a moment. 15 points with Ottawa. He has 17 in 19 games with the Flyers. He was rolling in a big game on Saturday against the Red Wings. Picked up his second career hat trick. That was goal number 1. Goal number 2, a nice tip. Daig with a nice soft pair of hands and playing those hands and picking up the hat trick.
Well, Alexander Daig also realized that there were some good shots coming from the point, and finally Philadelphia felt that they were getting shots from the point in the power play, something they weren't doing before.
Matthew Schneider recovering there after he given up the puck to Zubris. Leafs come back out. Kennedy throws it into the corner. Chris King moving up after it. Samuelson got there first. Up for John LeClair. Dainis Zubris in over the blue line. Grattan up there with him. He's got it now. Tried to return the favor in front, but it's broken up. Kennedy trying to get up there after it. Samuelson gets there first. Here's Luke Richardson. Up ahead for LeClair to Grattan. Zubris moving in on the right side. Grattan still after that puck. Bumping and grinding with Smith there in the corner. Now Kennedy has it. Up ahead quickly to Hendrickson. Svoboda skates back after him. Korolev watching him. Korolev back of the net. Nienema squeezing him out of the play. Otto dishes up ahead, takes the return feed. Here comes Otto, looking towards the front of the net. Drury make that. Darby was breaking towards the front of the net. That's Craig Darby, number 14, called up from the Philadelphia Phantoms.
He scored a couple of goals in the game last night against Syracuse.
And it's not much of a call-up. It's literally a walk across the parking lot here in Philadelphia. It is 0-0 here. We have action from Washington. Here's Gord Miller.
He's 6'2", he's 200 pounds, and this guy, he's 25 years of age, but he's played very well for the Phantoms. What a good team the Phantoms have got in the American Hockey League, and talk about support. They had 14,900 at their game last night. A couple of weeks ago, they had 2 crowds, 17,000 each night. It's great entertainment here in Philadelphia for those Flyers fans that can't quite afford to pay the price of NHL tickets.
I can't think of another situation, and there may be one, but it doesn't occur to me off the top of my head, where you have 2 big major league buildings, the Core State Center and the Spectrum, literally within a 2-minute walk of one another, right across the parking lot, and they fill them both for the minor league team and this building for the Philadelphia Flyers.
The Flyers have done a great job their whole history, Paul, of marketing the game here in Philadelphia. They realized they were starting to price themselves out of a lot of people's reach. So they've got an American Hockey League team, which is great hockey, and their fans can hopefully still come to 3 or 4 Flyer games a year and yet support their American Hockey League franchise and have A lot of fun watching the Flyers of the future for us.
They're going to have the American Hockey League All-Star Game here in this building, the big building, if you will, next year. 10:50 to go in the first period. And the big team in Philadelphia, the Flyers, are tied with the Leafs 0-0. There's a look at the new coach.
Well, Roger Nielsen's got some of the wildest ties in the National Hockey League. And, Paul, this is another one of them.
Yeah, that tie, a Rolling Stones tie. Music fans will recognize the logo there, the tongue sticking out of the mouth. And, you know, it makes sense that Roger would be wearing the Rolling Stones tie because I think Roger is about the same demographic as Mick Jagger, the leading singer of the Rolling Stones now.
He's a great pal, and he didn't like it when I said, though, that tie is kind of just like him, because when you watch Roger behind the bench, he's always got that tongue outside of his mouth, and he's kind of concentrating, and that's what Roger's been known for, that tongue out the corner of his mouth. So his tie kind of resembles it. We've got a penalty coming up.
Swing and a miss there by Daigle, and then the call made. It looks like a holding the stick penalty. And it's going to go against the Leafs, so the Flyers will have their first power play chance of the hockey game.
And Ron Hextall wasted no time at getting to that Flyers bench. He took right off. Sullivan ends up picking up the penalty for holding the stick. Ron Hextall's had a great season here for the Philadelphia Flyers, yet continually he's being
Instruction holding the stick. Time 9 minutes 29 seconds.
Sullivan had a pretty good hold right there on the stick of Colin Forbes.
So Sullivan in the box, Flyers on the power play. And in that game against Detroit, they had 4 power play goals.
They're 7th best in the league right now, and if they can keep their specialty teams improving, they're 7th best power play, 7th best in the league killing penalties. It'll mean a great deal to them going into the playoffs.
Brind'Amour, Klatt, Leclerc up front. Desjardins with a shot through from the blue line, loose in front of the net, and cleared out by Sundin. Nienema is the other defenseman.
We'll see whether those shots continue to come from the blue line as they did against Detroit on Saturday.
1:40 to go in the power play. Lots of time for the Flyers as Desjardins shovels it up there. Brind'Amour contending with McCowan. Desjardins at the line, kept it in momentarily, but here comes Sundin. Sundin with Johnson, short-handed. Sundin tried to fire it through. Nienema dropped in front of it. Nice play by Nienema to block that. Desjardins works it up ahead. Here comes Leclerc wheeling and dealing along the boards, up for Klatt. Klatt centers it in front of the net. That bounced off a skate and is cleared away by the Leafs with 1:10 to go on the Flyers power play.
Matt Sundin with a great opportunity, shorthanded. The Leafs have only scored 3 shorthanded goals all year long, but he was robbed. Nienema just made a great sweeping play.
Here's Svoboda moving in. Daigle is up there with him. Here's Sillinger. And Therrien not able to keep it in against Chris King. And King gives him a little work over there along the boards in front of the bench. 40 seconds left in the power play. Svoboda looking for a bit of room. Feeds Therrien. That went off a leg.
You see how high the Leaf forwards are playing the defense for the Philadelphia Flyers? You could tell that they were well scouted after Saturday's game. Flyers got a lot of shots away from the point. The Leafs forwards are trying to take those shots away.
20 seconds left in the power play. Sillinger stepping into his man there along the boards. That was Schneider who he bumped. Sillinger with it again. 10 seconds left in the power play. Down low to Day. Gratton. Back out for Therrien. Back to Gratton. Shooting. That's stopped by Potvin. And the puck cleared off the boards and out. Sullivan was out of the box, but he was offside. The teams are back at even strength. Flyers got a couple of shots on goal, and Schneider got his beak bounced along the glass. And watch it here along the boards. It's actually the stick that clips him. He was ridden into the glass, and then the stick came up and got him. So it wasn't the hit, it was sort of the post hit, and that's what he was a little ticked about.
He got hit in the face late in the game Saturday night, but it didn't hurt as much then because he'd already scored his 2nd goal of the game.
A couple of goals for Schneider and a win over the Calgary Flames. A win that was really sealed by the strong play of Felix Potvin. Icing call there in the Flyers.
There's been a lot of talk about Matthew Schneider perhaps being on the trade block. Schneider says he'd like to stay here in Toronto, and his play as of late shows that too. He's had 3 goals in his last 5 games, but Saturday night
right on the bench. And I believe that is Brian Papineau doing
No,
the
it's Chris
honors
Broadhurst.
first. Oh, pardon me. I said it's Chris Broadhurst. Brian Papineau's the equipment manager. You wouldn't want him stitching a guy up.
You sure wouldn't. No, Brian, though, I'm sure he's probably quite able to do that job.
Just has a hard time letting the guys practice. Come on, I'll practice on you. There's a hit in front of the Toronto bench. And Desjardins getting up slowly.
Desjardins
hit him.
Yeah, he went right into the boards back first. Domi just put his shoulder into Desjardins right here. He just gave him a good, hard, stiff, clean check, knocked Desjardins backwards right into the boards. That's the type of hits that the Toronto Maple Leafs need. You don't want to see any player get hurt in a game. Desjardins, unfortunately, just lost his balance after Ty Domi really gave him a good, stiff check. And it looks as though Desjardins is favoring his shoulder, and what a loss that would be for the Philadelphia Flyers, already missing Eric Lindros. Desjardins is their best defenseman, and he is being helped to the dressing room right now. That will put a concern on the face of Roger Nielsen. And that was just a good, clean hit.
Favoring the shoulder or the collarbone, something up in that area. And up in this area is general manager Bob Clarke. Wheeling and dealing, picking up Alexander Daigle, picking up Sean Burke. He's been busy, and of course the coaching change.
We'll go back and take a look at it one more time. I think it was just a good, solid check here by Ty Domi. Desjardins had his head down, got rid of the puck right at the last second, and then got pummeled into the boards. But again, a good, clean check by Ty Domi.
Boy, the Flyers are getting caught with their head down right there. And then, of course, that Lindros hit. Kasparaitis pasted him. And it was Lindros sort of looking down towards his feet, looking for the puck.
And he was upset at himself, too. He said afterwards, after he saw the hit on the replays, he thought it was a clean check by Kasparaitis. He was just guilty of having his head down, and he knows that's a no-no.
Especially when Kasparaitis is on the ice.
Well, I was surprised at the fact that Kasparaitis could put that big of a hit into that big of a man. But he's been doing a lot lately.
Icing call on the Flyers, 7:22 to go in the first. Let's check out action in New York. Here's Gord.
We'd like to show it to you one more time. Kasparaitis handed one of those out. Yesterday when I was watching the Pittsburgh-Buffalo game, Kasparaitis handed out another one of those type of checks to Rob Ray. Boy, did he ever hammer him into the boards.
Some hammering going on in this one. Flyers perhaps looking to exact a little bit of revenge. Desjardins is gone. We'll keep our eyes peeled, but I doubt he'll be back in this game. Niedema plays it up. Yuskevich knocked it away.
You know, for the biggest team in the National Hockey League, the Philadelphia Flyers really don't use their size and strength well enough when it comes to taking the body. This is a team that's very capable of being able to hammer the opposition. They're 6'2", 207 pounds, average age of 28, so they've got lots of youth on this hockey club that should have the abilities to take the body more than they do.
13 players 6'3" or taller on this Flyers team. Just by way of comparison, the average size of a player in the NFL is 6'1", 200.6 pounds. The average size of a Philadelphia Flyer?
Now 6'2", 207 pounds, so that gives you a little bit of an indication. I still think that there's going to be a lot of questions being asked very shortly. I think there already is, just about the helmets in the National Hockey League, because our players are bigger and stronger, and when they hit, it hurts even worse. Those chin straps somehow have got to stay on. You saw on Eric Lindros's hit by Kasparaitis, his helmet came off, and that's what causes damage as well.
Here's Richardson, fires a shot. That's stopped by Potvin. Schneider picks up the rebound and plays it ahead. 0-0 in this one, 6:26 to go in the period. Modin trying to come in. Here's Sundin. He's given a bump there by Richardson. Modin has the puck, though. Tried to forge his way towards the front of the net. Zubris moving up after Schneider. Schneider gets there, and icing is called on the Flyers.
Bauer, leave an impression.
want to clarify something. The Eric Lindros hit that he received from Kasparaitis, I mean, his concussion really had nothing to do with the helmet situation, other than, again, the helmet did come off once again, and that is a concern when players do go down. I've got to wonder, though, with the amount of money that the insurance companies are probably paying out for the players whose salaries have been lost right now, or who have been lost in man games, I have to wonder when they're all of a sudden going to say, hey, enough is enough. We want NFL helmets on these players. The players won't like that for these kids.
Lacroix is trying to encourage Ty Domi into a scrap. It was Domi who hit Desjardins, knocked him out of the game. Svoboda has the puck. Domi watching him. Domi tried to lay a hit there on Samuelsson. Meanwhile, the puck cleared up. Lacroix getting to it. That's an offside pass. 5:43 to go in the first period. And now Domi coming in to have a few words with Lacroix.
Yep, Lacroix's looking for action out there. He wants to get even for the hit that Domi put on Desjardins. But Ty Domi, who's the second leader right now in penalty minutes department of the National Hockey League, is probably best off to stay out of things. Just taking and giving good clean hits as he did on Desjardins, because the Toronto Maple Leafs need to stay out of the penalty box. They're going to get into the playoffs.
Domi has a pair of sore hands, and I don't know if you saw the game or not on Saturday against Calgary, but Sandy McCarthy went after him at the end of the game where they sort of hooked up, and Domi just kind of held on and they fell to the ice. His hands, I think, are a little too sore to fight right now.
Well, and again, Domi can contribute to the Leafs forechecking game, and when Mike Murphy has put him out on the ice along with Hendrickson. They used to be out there with Chris King. Now it's Derek King most of the time. Then he feels pretty confident this line can at least keep the puck in the other end of the ice. And that means a lot to the Toronto Maple Leafs right now. It's when Mike Murphy puts out a line that can't get the puck out of their own end zone that gives him a lot of sleepless nights.
Berezin out for Derek King with a shot that's knocked towards the corner by Svoboda. Sullivan watching him. King trying to move it to Berezin. He was forced outside. Here's Sillinger with it for Philadelphia. Up to Forbes. Trying to chop it out. And he succeeds in doing so. McCowan picks it up, starts back for Toronto. Svoboda has it. Alexander Day clears it into the corner. Forbes skating up after it. Bumping with Brown. Now Sullivan has the puck. Here comes Sullivan up at center. Derek King breaking down the left side. Sullivan fires it. No rebound forthcoming, and Hextall just hangs on. 4:59 to go in the first period. Still 0-0. Toronto and Philadelphia on Molson NHL tonight.
Shots in this game so far. Derek King, you might consider his shot to be a decent scoring opportunity for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but Mike Murphy knows that they've got to get a lot more shots on Ron Hextall if they're going to win this hockey game here tonight. Less than 5 minutes to go in the first period.
Puck comes back to Zettler. Domi was knocked down right off the draw. He was jousting there with Samuelsson.
I think Domi went down pretty easily.
Fans are just waiting for something to happen. Zubris shoots, trying to get something happening offensively. Potvin knocked it away, and the puck cleared. This will be an icing call against Toronto. Samuelsson snowshoeing back there to pick it up.
Ty Domi was looking to draw a penalty, and he almost did. He just went and had some words with Ron Hextall right now. Ty Domi is trying to get all of the Philadelphia Flyers thinking about him, and then hopefully his teammates can do something against Ron Hextall. Roger Nielsen won't like that right now. He won't like the fact that his players are so concerned about getting Ty Domi. They've got to be more concerned about scoring a goal right now, and someone in the course of the game has got to even the score against Ty Domi. At least if you've got a good team, they should. Leclerc just hauled Ty Domi down. I think Ty Domi went down rather easily there, hoping that Leclerc would get a penalty out of that.
And he got up and fenced a bit with Samuelsson as they went towards the front of the net.
Had to talk to Ron Hextall. Ty Domi's doing his job.
Here's Klatt. Down to Brind'Amour. Bodine going after it. He and Klatt along the boards. Brind'Amour was dangling there in the slot. Now he comes over after it. chip towards the corner and deflected up over the glass. 4:08 to go in the first period here. Let's check out action in that Calgary-Montreal game. Here's Gordon. For Eric Desjardins, back into the game. I did not expect him back.
I can't believe that he's back already. He looked as though he was in big trouble when they took him off the ice, favoring his shoulder.
Ty Domi hit him. He went into the boards heavily, had to be helped off the ice, was favoring his shoulder or his collarbone, it looked like. And I thought it was doubtful he would be back, never mind just a little while later in this first period.
Well, that's when a coach and a general manager all of a sudden give a sigh of relief. Roger Nielsen and Bob Clark would exactly that.
Here's Platt. Works it back out. Desjardins tipped it towards the net. Matthew Schneider plays it up. Had Modine and Johnson ready to take off. Leclaire comes back in. Leclaire into the corner. Jason Smith bounces him along the boards. Here's Brind'Amour. Desjardins fires one up. That's knocked down and cleared up ahead to Sundin. Johnson is with him. Up to the line. Johnson steps in. Gets it across right in front. Modine just missed there. Here's Johnson. Up intended for Modine. He and Desjardins along the boards. Now Sundin up there to help out. Sundin was tied up. Svoboda. Up for Leclaire. Zubris in over the blue line. Over to Gratton. Tried to get it back across for Leclaire. That went astray. And Kennedy back out for Toronto. Spun around there by Gratton. Leclaire with the spoils. Trying to barge his way back into Gratton. To Zubris. Back up for Gratton in the corner. Zubris coming over after it. This is Kennedy for the Leafs. Leclaire up ahead, and it's over the head of Gratton and over the glass into the crowd. 2:29 to go in the first period.
Leafs have done a good job controlling the Flyers in the neutral zone, but this man, Jason Smith, you got to give him a lot of credit night after night. I just like the way that this guy plays. He takes the body, and when you got defensemen that will all of a sudden step up and take the body, especially against the other team's good players, like Jason Smith did in the corner on John Leclaire, that helped your team. It helps him a great deal. The Leafs, ironically, came right back down the ice and had a scoring opportunity led by Matt Sundin's line. Jason Smith just took the body on John Leclaire with good, hard, stiff check.
Came over to Toronto in the Doug Gilmour deal with New Jersey, and that's not looking too bad right now. Domi fired it across. Korolev trying to work it down low. Hendrickson was up there with him. Domi at the line. Not able to keep it in. Here's Alexander Day. Over to Richardson. 2 minutes to go in the first period. 0-0 Toronto and Philadelphia. Leafs winners of the last 3 games. Here's Forbes. Dropped it back. Sillinger lost his stick and lost the puck, and the Leafs start back. Korolev up to the line. Drops it for Brown. Back for Korolev. In front, Hendrickson is shot. Beat stopped by Hextall. He was right there. And icing called on the Flyers. Nice stop from Ron Hextall on Darby Hendrickson with the Leafs' best scoring chance of the game.
I'm not sure, though, that a lot of goaltender coaches would be happy with the way that Hextall stopped this puck. Yet the fact is that the coaches would be happy that he did at least stop it. He seemed to move a little late on that shot from Hendrickson. And a few times tonight, and it's only been a few times because that's all the shots the Leafs have had, Hextall has fought the puck a little bit, but yet he's made the saves and he's kept them out as he did on that particular one. Hextall's actually had a great season for the Philadelphia Flyers, yet he's got this thing hanging over his head. And most people in the National Hockey League think that the Philadelphia Flyers would be looking for another goaltender, and that they have. Reggie Lemlin, the goaltender coach for the Philadelphia Flyers, works with the Flyers goaltenders. Yes, the Flyers did go out and get Sean Burke, who has been out the last 4 games now hurt. Should be back maybe the end of this week. But will Hextall be the number 1 when it comes to playoff time?
One of the most maligned winningest goaltenders in the NHL of his era. Vezina Trophy winner, Smythe Trophy winner on the losing team yet. That doesn't happen very often. But he still doesn't get the respect. Here comes Gratton. Up along the boards, tried to drop it to Podine, cleared back out. Well, you talk about style, though, Gary, Hextall's style. I wonder with the way Hasek is playing right now, with a lack of style, if that sort of goes out the window for everybody.
You can't even call Hasek. Use the word style. It doesn't apply to Hasek at all, but what a great goaltender he is.
Here's Leclaire. Tried to deal his way there towards the front of the net. Lost the puck. 30 seconds to go in the period. Leclaire, in front. Stolen by Potvin, and he covers it up.
With 27 seconds remaining, Felix Potvin has come up with the best save of the game so far. He just took that puck right away from John Leclaire, and he's done again what Mike Murphy has asked him to do. He's given him the ball and said, you've got to get this team into the playoffs. That's how much pressure we're putting on you. John Leclaire was left all alone. Matthew Schneider was caught over in the corner, and not a forward was back helping out Felix Potvin. Both Smith and Schneider were caught out of position, and Leclaire, of all people, was left all alone in front of Felix Potvin.
27 seconds left in the period. Flyers up for the faceoff. Hendrickson taking the defensive draw for the Leafs against Joel Otto, and the Leafs control off the faceoff. Alan McCauley with it. 15 seconds to go in the period. Here comes Zubris. Otto and Leclaire up there with him. Puck dumped into Leclaire's corner. Leclaire trying to dig it out. Zubris up there to help out. Zubris was decked there. Shot didn't get to the net, and time runs out in the first period. Shots on goal 9-4 for the Flyers. 9-4 the shots. 0-0 is the score. First intermission coming up. What's up, Gord?
Oh, a lot, Paul. Coming up, we'll have our home hard rebound Gatorade. No scoring. Flyers, though, outshoot the Maple Leafs by a count of 9-4. And like the Ottawa game at New York, this is one with plenty of playoff implications as we take you back to Philly with Paul Romanuk and Gary Green.
Thanks, Gord. I love that idea, the Rocket Richard Trophy.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's an outstanding idea. Right now, there's no goals being scored in our game here, but the Philadelphia Flyers do have 3 players on their team who are in the top 11 goal scorers in the National Hockey League. They're the only team that have 3 in the top 11. Leclaire, Lindros, and Brind'Amour. Leclaire with 40, Lindros with 28, and Brind'Amour with 29.
Nienema with the puck for the Flyers as we get things going in the second period. Plays it up along the boards. McCauley for the Leafs sends it back in. Here's Svoboda. Jamie McCowan with it. Gratton up forechecking there for the Flyers, or trying to. Goes after McCowan, but he moves it up. Now Chris King. Cross ice there for Kennedy. Just bats it in, deflected away by Hextall. Here's Brown. Now McCowan with it. Got it ahead there. Johnson couldn't wheel it in. Now Gratton controlling. Over for Svoboda. Modine at the line, couldn't keep it in. Here comes Gratton with a head of steam to the blue line. Over to Klatt, back across in front. The pass was behind Leclaire. Now he's got it. Leclaire with a backhand shot, just flipped it in there. Potvin, no problem stopping that. Here's Smith. Brind'Amour will chase him out. McCowan ahead to Modine. Here's Johnson coming in. Modine going to the front of the net. Now Modine picks up the rebound. Works it across. And Hextall grabs that. Sundin was running a little screen there across in front of the net, among others, but Hextall able to pick it off.
Hextall looks real sharp right now to start this second period off. A couple of the shots that came right at him were stopped quickly by him. Neil Little is Hextall's backup, as you mentioned at the start of tonight's game. He played last night for the Phantoms, and they beat Syracuse 7-5. Neil Little ended up recording his 26th win, the league best in the American Hockey League. The Phantoms are 19. Little is 19-2-1 this season at home in Philadelphia. What a record that is. He's waiting for an opportunity to play.
Puck cleared up and knocked down. Here's Schneider with it. Berezin, long shot. Hextall steers that away. Derek King gets it in front. Comes back out. Smith fires it up. Sullivan back of the net. Derek King comes in. Rubbed along the boards. Here's Sullivan with it. Back for King. Tried to quick pass it there in front. It was just knocked away by Hextall. Here's Sillinger now. Alexander Day. Lead pass up at the blue line for Forbes. Smith picks it up for the Leafs. Samuelson chugging up to the corner. Now Smith has it. Puck knocked down there by Klatt. Klatt moving in. Grabbed right in front. He was stopped by Potvin. Trent Klatt with some good hustle to get the puck up to Grattan. Now Leclaire. Dipping and diving around. Trying to fight off the check. He's still got it. Shoots, scores! John Leclaire hung in there and got the goal. It's 1-0 Flyers.
Well, Leclaire had 2 out of the 3 scoring opportunities for the Philadelphia Flyers in the first period of play, and he looked pretty determined when he came out to start the second period that it was going to happen for him this time. Grattan had a good opportunity prior to Leclaire's, but this time Leclaire made sure that he ended up getting that shot away. They are going upstairs, and you know something? We just see that right now. I don't think that's going to count. Terry Gregson's going upstairs for the review. It looked as though just on that last angle that we had that there was a foot in the crease.
No goal is the call. So Leclaire's goal is called back, and we remain squared at 0-0.
We'll go back and take a look one more time. Watch Grattan. Grattan backed off, and then his foot was in. Potvin kind of blocked it from that angle. But Grattan's skate was clearly in, and the overhead angle will show you that. His left foot was parked right in the crease when Leclaire shot that puck, and so no goal for the Flyers.
And by the way, Gary, receiving some news on Eric Desjardins. He has in fact left the game. He has a bruised shoulder, so I guess he came back to try it out there in the first period and caught the better of it.
Well, the fact that he did come back tells you, though, that it wasn't dislocated or he isn't in too big a trouble.
Here comes Domi up with Hendrickson. Hendrickson in front, shooting. That's knocked away. Hextall with a nice stop. Domi up after it. Svoboda rubbing along the boards. That's Samuelson who's lost his helmet. Meanwhile, the Flyers coming back out.
Domi's hitting everything in sight out there. He just took another run at Grattan. He created the 2-on-1 opportunities, and he's been taking the body out there. A job well done by Ty Domi tonight.
Puck bounces up over the Flyers bench, and we get a stoppage. 16:24 to go in the second.
A 2-on-1 opportunity. Ty Domi, after having made some pretty good hits tonight, gets an opportunity right here to put the puck right across to Hendrickson. You saw Hextall go down early, but yet Hextall had that glove ready to take that puck right out of the air on Darby Hendrickson. Good pass, though, by Ty Domi.
Nienema up ahead to Joel Otto. This is Lacroix. Otto is in the slot. Svoboda, Nienema fires it, rebound in front. Otto fired it wide. Couldn't quite get set. He was sort of drifting the other way.
Otto's been known for his good defensive play and his strong abilities down the middle, but he's only scored 2 goals this year.
Here comes Kennedy up into the corner, centered it across in front. Nobody home for the Leafs. And Lacroix pokes the puck out. McCowan hustling back there after it. Long pass up to Kennedy. Gets it up ahead. Modine, big chance. Big stop by Hextall. Two of them, back to back.
Hextall's come up big in this second period of play. He did what he had to do in the first period, even though he suggested that he looked a little bit rusty in that first period. The second period, he has been really sharp. The Leafs with their breakout, McCowan putting that puck all the way up to the middle, and Modine gets that puck then on a perfect pass, and then not only gets his first shot away, but there's nobody around, so he gets the opportunity to take a whack at the rebound. Hextall only gave up about a 1-foot rebound, but Modine was able to whack away at it.
That went right on goal off the draw, and Hextall cleared that away. Puck goes up out of play. 15:23 to go in the second period, and Hextall being tested.
Well, all of a sudden, the Toronto Maple Leafs in this second period have come alive as far as getting shots on net. They're now leading the Philadelphia Flyers in this game, 13-12. Shots on net. Big turnaround.
Yeah, they've had 9 shots on goal already in the second period.
Obviously, Mike Murphy had something to say to them. No, he hasn't been talking as much as he was, perhaps, but I got a feeling that he definitely came into the dressing room and made it quite simple. We need more shots to win.
Svoboda has the puck now for the Flyers, and he'll start out. To Zubras. Up into the corner, Brind'Amour angling his way up there. Oh, he bumped his man. He planted Smith along the glass. Nienema clears it up there. Here's Schneider. Puck tipped up ahead. Sullivan angled out of the play there by Nienema. Berezin for Smith. Here's Nienema. Up for Brind'Amour. Flyers start out. Zubras up to the blue line. They crowd in towards the corner. Forbes had it bounce away from him. Sullivan for Toronto. Just cleared it out to center. Now Zubras ahead for Forbes. Sillinger up there to help out. Puck chopped off the board. Sullivan on the way up. Derek King up there with him. Pass out for King. Let him a little bit too much. Now King sent it out through the slot. That was knocked away. Sillinger back for the Flyers. Sillinger, Forbes catching up. Daig up there too, but broken up nicely by Sundin. Berezin over to Sundin. Muscles his way around Richardson. Sundin tried to get it back for Yuskevich, but it was broken up. Daig out at center. Up for Forbes, back for Daig. Cutting through. Daig and Sillinger were both up there. This is Daig in the corner. Out for Forbes. Grattan with a shot. That's knocked away. Daig going after the rebound. Couldn't control. Modine up there with Sundin. Modine shooting it. Ripped it wide to the short side. Yuskevich tries to keep it in. And does so with some help there from Johnson. Sundin shoots. That was blocked by Svoboda. Modine back of the net. Twisting and turning there along the boards. Looking for an opening. Now Johnson down for Sundin. Tried to center it. Now Daig with it for the Flyers. Up for Forbes. And he'll just clear it in. He gets bumped by Yuskevich. Grattan along the boards. Flyers in a change. Trent Platt is out there and knocked down by Yuskevich. Platt trying to kick it loose. LeClaire after it.
Well, because Yuskevich played it tough in the corner, it helped the Leafs get the puck out of their own end and out of trouble.
And the Leafs get into change. Therrien up along the board, picked up now by Zetler. 12:40 to go, second period. 0-0, Philadelphia and Toronto. We've had one goal called back. John LeClaire scored early in this second period, but the goal was called back. The Flyers had a man in the crease. Potvin going to hang on to it with 12:27 to go in the second on Molson NHL tonight. I've been everywhere, man, and Roger Nilsson could easily have penned that. Started off in Toronto, and then across the border to Buffalo, then hitch up the wagons all the way up to the coast of Vancouver, and then hitch them up again and all the way down to Los Angeles. Got a little bit bored there, headed over to Chicago where he serves as a co-coach and scout. Then went over to the New York Rangers. And then down south to sunny Florida, spent some time down there, went back up to St. Louis, spent some time with the St. Louis Blues, and now he gets off the bus here in Philadelphia. Just another day in the life of Roger Neilson.
Oh, well, we've had a lot of fun with Roger over the years, and he's a pretty good sport, and we like to tease him about the number of teams that he has been with in the National Hockey League. Also was with the Edmonton Oilers as well, he helped them out doing some video analysis, not in an official capacity, but that was in '84. He's been a lot of places.
Fixing the glass up behind the Flyers net. But that's fine. It gave us a few moments to catch up. Travels with Roger.
This is his 7th team as the head coach, and one thing that he has done with each and every team, he's made the players. There's only the one exception, and that was the New York Rangers, where he had the problem with Mark Messier. But other than that, Roger Neilson hasn't had any difficulties with his superstars, and I don't anticipate that he'll have any with the superstars here. Eric Lindros is not in the lineup, as we all know, and hasn't played yet for Roger Neilson. But talked to Raj before the game, and he's not anticipating any problems, nor did Wayne Cashman feel that he had any problems with Eric Lindros, even though there was some talk about the contrary to that.
You think about Roger, and I think about two things. The towel being held up in the air, the famous towel when he took the Vancouver Canucks to the Stanley Cup final. And going a few years back, you may not remember this, some of our younger viewers, but Roger with the famous paper bag over the head routine in Toronto.
So they talked about it. He never did it, but
he never did.
A lot of talk about it.
And we'll tell you that story if time permits here in a few moments, again, for some of the few younger fans who may not have been around then. Puck chipped off the boards. Johnson. Here comes Modin. Hextall looks around and decides to play it himself. Modin up there for the Leafs. Almost caught Hextall. Had to lean back into the net, but he made the stop, and Brind'Amour back the other way. Brind'Amour into the corner now. Modin and Brind'Amour working it. Brind'Amour has it and couldn't quite angle his way towards the front of the net around Sundin.
Sundin was just able to put enough of a stick on him that he couldn't get his shot away.
Johnson sends it across. Modin up after it. Here's Ty Domi. Sundin looks to the front of the net. Nobody there. Now he centers it. Domi came crashing through the proverbial bull in a China shot. Korolev after the puck. He was muscled out of the play by Sillinger. And the puck comes out, and here comes Daigle. Was tricked up. And no penalty call.
Well, if Daigle hadn't stumbled, he would have been gone because he's got great speed.
Here comes Ty Domi. Bumped into Richardson. Hendrickson coming up there. Hendrickson eats that puck up, gets it out in front. Now Daigle coming back. Has Sillinger over to his left. In over the blue line. Daigle trying to work it across. Ping-ponged off some skates, and the Leafs back the other way. Domi with it. Gets it across. Korolev. Nice block. Daigle up with a scoring chance, and then back in the play to get in front of the puck. Let's check out action in Montreal. Here's Gord.
Well, the Canadiens up 1-0 when Edwards sends it in front to Jim Dowd. His 5th of the year, ties the game at 1 midway through the second period.
When we talk about Alexander Daigle's great speed, he had 7 shots on Saturday. He could have scored about 6 goals, but here tonight, he all of a sudden, he gave up a bad pass, but he was right into the offensive zone. But then look at the way that he hustled back. That'll make Roger Neilson pretty happy when Daigle, as he did, right there, came right back into the slot to pick up his man, and instead ended up picking up the puck, blocked the shot. Anyway, Alexander Daigle hustling at both ends of the ice. Boy, when he decides he's going to back check, that's a great asset to a team because there's very few faster than Alexander Daigle.
Great speed, and we saw a great example of that speed. We have numerous times in his career, but recently in that overtime winner that he scored last week. Zettler with a shot, and that is stopped by Hextall, and he hangs on to it.
Well, I'm happy that Daigle's getting some opportunity to get some confidence.
Well, you know what? He has been, I think, wrongfully maligned as a guy who hasn't produced. There's some of the first rounders from the year he was drafted 1st overall. And he fares not too badly. 4th on the list behind Grattan. Arnott, of course, Correa running away with it, but 189 points, nothing to sneeze at. He had 51 points in his rookie year with an absolutely abysmal Ottawa team, and 50 points in a rookie season. I don't care who you're playing for, that's respectable. But a change of scenery will maybe help him. Niinema fires it. That bounces around and they score! Gets the goal, a real miscue there. Follow the bouncing puck, and the Flyers followed it right into the net.
Chris Gratton's 17th goal of the year, and yeah, that puck was bouncing all right. Look at it, folks. It came through the middle of the ice. Jamie McCowan didn't know where it was. Sullivan didn't pick it up. Derek King was standing there. That puck was in the air, bouncing up and down, and then all of a sudden, Grattan was there. Felix Potvin didn't see it until it was behind him.
Grattan gets the goal at 9:45. And the Flyers with a 1-0 lead.
What a weird one that was.
Sullivan up into the corner. Trying to work it out in front. Sullivan comes around, gets it there for Berezin. He misfired. Derek King up after it now. He bounces Grattan along the boards. Now here's Leclerc. Niinema and Leclerc picking up assists on Grattan's goal at 9:45. That was Grattan's 17th of the year. Here comes John Leclerc. Bulldozing his way up there. Shoots! That sizzles up around the boards and all the way back out to center.
Another man that's big and strong and can skate, and can he shoot? John Leclerc.
Offside called on the Leafs. King couldn't hold himself up there at the blue line.
The leading scorer for the Philadelphia Flyers. 40 goals and 30 assists coming into tonight's game. Chris Grattan, though, he is the second leading assist getter for this team. He's had 34 assists this year. Only Eric Lindros has more with 39. John Leclerc congratulating Grattan. Those two guys are big and strong, and when they go to the net, it's very difficult to defend against them. One thing Roger Neilson isn't going to tell his players, and that's how to score. He's going to make sure that this team plays well together as a team, and he's going to try to make sure that they give up as few scoring opportunities as possible, yet take advantage of this team's size. They're a pretty fast team for their size. They could be a little speedier, but yet this is a team that's going to require a lot of discipline to go well.
McCauley fires it across. That was a weird bounce, and Hextall swatted that one away. That was Kennedy going to the net. Flyers come back up. Forbes shoots one in, and Potvin will hang on to it.
The pucks have been bouncing around out there. The Leafs had one bouncing in front of Ron Hextall, but the worst was the one bouncing in front of Felix Potvin. McCauley, who was used in the last minute of play when the Leafs wanted to defend, ended up being the guy that threw that puck up high fly through the slot, about the same height as the puck was when the Philadelphia Flyers scored on Potvin.
Hextall 7th amongst active goaltenders in all-time NHL wins. 20th on the all-time list. And yet he has that label attached to him, at least here in Philadelphia, that he's not the guy who's going to take them to the Stanley Cup.
Well, I'm not sure that that's as much here in Philadelphia as it is in the other 25 cities in the NHL.
Chris King clears it in for the Leafs. 8:28 to go, second period. Flyers up 1-0. Here's Modine. Up there with Sundin. Offside is called on the Leafs. 8:20 to go in the second period. Flyers lead on a goal from Chris Grattan. 17th goal of the year.
Mike Murphy will still be asking why 3 of his players were standing watching as that puck was laying in front of Felix Potvin without going to his rescue.
Oh, Yuskevich was crushed there by Podine. The Flyers pressing here with Brind'Amour. Bulldogging that puck along the boards. Back to Richardson. Up for Brindamore, bounced away, and Modine will crank it up. Sundin is with him, so's Johnson. Sundin shoots. That was tipped up off the glass. Brindamore gets it along the board. Zettler pinching up for Sundin. Therrien stuck to him. The puck drifts loose, and Brindamore controlling for the Flyers, up to Zubras. Up into Podine's corner. They'll come up hard after it. Bumping Yuskevich. Sundin bounces to Yuskevich. They'll clear it in, and the Leafs will change in the fly. 7:20 to go, second period, 1-0 Flyers. Matthew Schneider out of the way of Leclaire. Up ahead for Domi. Nienema picks his pocket. Leclaire after it. Steven Smith chop. The puck goes up over the glass. The score is 1-0 here for the Flyers. More action in that game between Calgary and the Canadiens. Here's Gord. Oh, John Leclaire picking up an assist on the Flyers' goal. 14 points. We do this stat every time we watch Leclaire play for the Flyers, and it's an impressive one. Just the way he suddenly came to life once he came to Philadelphia, as opposed to his point production in Montreal.
Yeah, and it's something that every general manager thinks about in the National Hockey League, doesn't it? Whenever he makes a trade, now we got a penalty coming up.
Gratton was tripped up there in the slot, and the Flyers will go on the power play. Darby Hendrickson will make his way to the penalty box.
To finish off, I was about to say, whenever a general manager is thinking about trading a young, big, strong player, they always think of John Leclaire and wondering whether or not that player might end up being a John Leclaire, and that would be a nightmare for any general manager.
Well, Glenn Sather mentioned a few weeks back when he traded Jason Arnott, said that was what kept drifting into his mind was, am I gonna be another guy who will be talked about as the man who traded away, fill in the blank, John Leclaire, one of the blanks.
All right, now the Philadelphia Flyers with an opportunity on the power play. His fourth year with the Philadelphia Flyers. This year he was a holdout at training camp, wanted a new contract, got a new contract. And for his talents and skills, I think the Philadelphia Flyers, when they signed him, they got a pretty good deal.
Right between the two defensemen, Nienema and Svoboda. Flyers in the power play, and leading this game by a score of 1-0. Leclaire, Klatt, and Brindamore are up front. Nienema carries up, bounces around. Brindamore was looking for it, played out. Sundin short-handed, and tried that little how-do-you-do move to get around Svoboda. Lost the puck.
Good job by McCowan, though, standing up in the play and breaking up the Flyers' opportunity.
Leclaire, Klatt moves in, rebound in front. Brindamore, Leclaire, both there. And the puck cleared.
Brind'Amour's stick handle put that puck out in front and lost it. He meant to get a shot away, instead lost the puck.
King was spun around there. Flyers start back. 1:10 to go in the power play. Therrien fires it in. Daig moves up. It's cleared over top of him by Potvin. Here's Luke Richardson. Here's Therrien. Sillinger back for Therrien. Over to Richardson. Up for Sillinger. Leclaire is parked in front. Sillinger. Therrien shoots. That skipped wide. Daig hopping after it. Richardson has it now. 39 seconds left in the power play. This is Daig. Leclaire is planted in front. And he's taken some abuse from Yuskevich. Therrien at the line. And the puck pressured out by King. McCauley will finish it off.
King was getting up slowly, but he's all right. Now Therrien is mixing it up with King as they were leaving the ice.
Meanwhile, Flyers come up. Puck fired wide by Svoboda. With 10 seconds left in the power play. Korolev back for the Leafs. Up there by himself. He and Nienema carry around back of the net. Sillinger back to pick it up. Penalized player back on. So the Leafs kill off that Flyers power play. Modine up towards the corner. Rolado comes after it. Modine centered it in front, knocked away by McCowan. Modine reloads. Coming around, shoots, hit the post, hit Potvin, and bounced wide. shoots it up. Smith off the boards, gets it out. Here's Samuelson. Jason Smith back after it.
Leafs got a big break there with that puck going right off the post.
Forbes back in the net, being squeezed there by Smith. Zubris up, lurking in the weeds, waiting for that puck to come loose. Controlled, though, by the Leafs. And no icing called. Luke Richardson has it. 3:45 to go, second period. Flyers up 1-0. Berezin for Toronto. Clears it in. Hextall. Here's Derek King. Shoots. Hextall stopped it. Sullivan. Cut across. Couldn't get a good shot away. Here's King. Berezin with a shot. Hextall stopped it. Sullivan's there. But so's Hextall, folks. And he stops it and holds on. Hextall on the mark. Flyers up 1-0. Hey, helping to make products safer for people.
Wear a tested helmet helps prevent injuries. Think safety and stay in the game.
Well, Felix Potvin had action, so did Ron Hextall. But Felix Potvin was fortunate right here. That puck went right off the post and then came back and hit his skate. Meanwhile, at the other end, Sullivan tried to put that puck by Ron Hextall. Hextall had lots of action. Hextall got caught, almost caught, going out of his net, but hustled to get back in, made some big saves.
Here's Berezin. Hextall makes the stop. They may not beat this guy tonight. Here comes Dave, wheeling up into the corner. Dave looking for some help. And McCowan breathing down his neck. Brown picks it up.
Dave did a great job there, though, of protecting the puck, though. Even though he couldn't handle it, he kept it away from McCowan.
Here's Brown. Up around for Derek King. Just clears it in. It skips off the glass. Another play. More action from Montreal. Here's Gord to update that for you.
Shooting the Philadelphia Flyers 19-16, but they can't beat Ron Hextall. He has been so sharp in this second period. The Leafs have had great opportunities. Sullivan over to Berezin. Berezin can't score. Berezin's had a tough time scoring. In fact, as of late, he's had only 1 assist in the last 5 games.
Hextall career 11-5-1 against the Leafs with 1 shutout. Here's Modine. Up there with Sundin. Therrien picks it up. Just off the glass and out. Modine trying to get up there. Zedler got there first. Therrien for the Flyers. Hops in over the line. Brindamore's going towards the net. This is Zubris with the puck in the corner. Brindamore goes after it. Down low to Leclerc. Leclerc will look for Zubris. Zubris looks for the puck. Yuskevich hog-ties him and wrestles him down to the ice. When the puck comes to Potvin, he'll hang on to it.
You see that Mike Murphy has lots of confidence in Zetler. He put him back into the lineup tonight. He might be the Leafs' 7th defenseman, but on the other hand, you saw Mike Murphy just having him out on the ice right there when you ended up with some of the best Flyers on the ice at the same time. When Rod Brindamore is on the ice, Mike Murphy still trusts the fact that Zetler can get the job done. He has to play within his limitations, but Zetler, you know he's going to give you everything that he's got whenever he puts on the sweater.
Standing this morning talking with Mike Murphy with a bunch of other reporters after the skate, and somebody said, how did Todd Warner feel about being a healthy scratch? And Murphy said, I didn't ask him.
Well, a coach has to make those tough decisions. And when you're on a race right now as the Leafs are to get into the playoffs, and boy, does that ever mean a lot to this Leafs franchise. If they were to make the playoffs, it'd be happy days.
And the reason for the scratch, Murphy said, he's got to play harder. He's got to play hard every time he's in the lineup.
Mike Murphy has been a tougher coach this year on his players. He's made it very simple to them. They have to work or they're not going to play, and he's stuck to his guns.
Bratton clears clears it in there for the Flyers. LeClaire moving up after it. Throws Smith against the boards. Puck bounces by Smith. Now McCauley with it.
Last minute to play in the second period.
Less than a minute to go here in period number 2. Flyers leading 1-0. And looks as though we may have offsetting penalties here. Gratton and Chris King were tangled up.
They're mixed up right in front of the Philadelphia bench, but nothing came of it other than the fact they're both going after the penalty box. And that's a good trade as far as the Toronto Maple Leafs would be concerned.
Just want to finish this story before the period's over. Roger Nielsen, again, for those of you who are younger hockey fans, may not have been around or following hockey back when Roger coached the Toronto Maple Leafs in the 70s. Roger got fired, and Harold Ballard, the bombastic, unpredictable owner of the Leafs at the time, didn't have a replacement for Roger after he was fired. So he decided that he should bring Roger back, and Ballard, being the consummate showman, wanted Roger Nielsen to walk up behind the bench in his return game with a paper bag over his head as sort of the mystery coach.
Yeah, because nobody knew who the coach was going to be. Lanny McDonald and Darryl Sittler and Tiger Williams all had gone to Ballard, I know, and wanted them to make sure that the owner knew that they liked Roger Nielsen as a coach. They didn't like the fact that Ballard fired him, so Ballard ended up not having a replacement, as you said, and put him back behind the bench. But I remember Al Dunford, who was an assistant to Roger Nielsen at the time, said to Roger, "Hey, Roger," and he said it to Harold Ballard. He said, "Mr. Ballard, we've got enough of a circus around here at Maple Leaf Gardens. We don't need to create another one by having Roger Nielsen with a bag over his head." Not that Roger would have done it anyway, but the thought of even being asked was unbelievable. And that story will live on for many decades.
And that story, maybe more than any other, just kind of distills the entire Harold Ballard era in Toronto.
No question.
Controlled lunacy, if there is such a term. 15 seconds to go in the period.
I'm not sure how controlled it was, though.
No. Here comes Sillinger. He's going to get a chance. Potvin stopped another chance. Puck just chipped wide by Ford. He shoots, and the green light came on. That will not be a goal.
They can celebrate all they want. It was a good play, but it shouldn't be a goal.
Well, technically, it should not, because the red light cannot come on. It is electronically inhibited from coming on if time has run out. The green light comes on automatically, and I was looking behind the net as that second shot was taken, and I saw green light and no red light. Let's see what they decide.
Well, you described it perfectly. The green light, in fact, is still on. And the goal should not count. Yes, there it is, folks.
Did you see a red light come on there?
No, I sure didn't. And as you explained it perfectly, it's not supposed to come on. Not when the green one is already on.
Now the situation, sorry Gary, we could get into is just simply the human element. If the goal judge was slowing the trigger,
well,
and that
right.
apparently is the case.
And that's what they had to determine. So the goal is good. Watch the time up in the top right-hand corner, folks. And if the goal judge was late at putting that red light on, then the goal will count.
Watch it. Point.
Oh, yeah.
Half a second. Half a second left, and the Flyers right now very grateful for the 10th of second clock that was introduced a few years back.
You bring up the good point, and the one that sticks right now is the fact that the goal judge was a little, just a touch late at getting that red light on. And for good reason, too, because Potvin reached back but didn't quite get it.
With half a second to go, the Flyers get a goal, and they're up 2-0. Here's Gord.
All right, coming up in our second intermission, an update on Pat LaFontaine. Flyers managed to score twice in that period. Chris Gratton with his 17th of the year at 9:45, and then the goal by Colin Forbes, his 10th of the year, as time wound down to give Philly a 2-0 lead. The Flyers outshot by the Leafs, but have a 2-goal lead as we take you back to Paul and Gary.
And of the Flyers' 9 shots on net, of course, they scored 2 goals, but 7 of those shots came where Mike Murphy would prefer that they didn't come from. Right in here, folks, and that is the toughest area for any goaltender to defend against unless he's getting lots of help on rebounds especially. That's the Philadelphia Flyers getting those opportunities. On the other hand, the Toronto Maple Leafs had plenty of opportunities as well, because take a look at this. They had 8 opportunities from the green zone area out of their 15 shots, and so the Toronto Maple Leafs had plenty of opportunities, but Ron Hextall was able to do something about that. He kept them off the scoreboard.
We'll see where the shots and chances come from. Sundin working it up, hit the side of the net. Sundin into the corner, trying to force his way back there towards the slot. Puck cleared by Hextall. And here comes Brind'Amour. Zubris over to his right as they crisscross at the line now. Now Zubris takes the feed, shoots. Potvin stops that. And then Zubris got crushed along the boards for his trouble. Smith stepped into it. This is Sundin with the puck. Drops to Snyder, fires it right on, right into the logo, and it's held by Hextall.
The coaches don't mind having a shot coming from that particular area. Matthew Schneider got that shot away, but Ron Hextall could handle that one quite easily. But no Leaf was there looking for a rebound. The Leafs have got to find a way in this third period to not only continue getting the type of shots they did on Ron Hextall in the second period, find a way to beat him, of course, but maybe find a way to get in front of him so he doesn't get the opportunity to see the puck the way that Mike Murphy knows that Hextall was able to see them in that second. Ironically enough, though, in the first period, there was very little action in front of either goaltenders. The shots came from outside of that area we refer to as the green zone. But in the second period of play, teams let up defensively in front of their netminder.
Peter Sloboda has the puck for the Flyers. This is Platt. McCowan and Platt converge on the corner. LeClaire in there, being contained by Hendrickson momentarily. Platt in to help out. Try to force that puck loose. Platt's got it. Nienema with a poke, but not able to keep it in.
Dean Gratton goes out of the penalty box.
And here comes Derek King. Shoots from high in the slot. That was wide. Hendrickson up after it. Down for Domi in the corner. Domi trying to get it away from Nienema. Hendrickson picks it up. Back around for Domi. In back of the net. Domi centers it out in front. Derek King was there, but the puck didn't get to him. Jamie McCowan back, and icing is called on the Flyers.
Well, you really can't blame Felix Potvin for either the 2 goals that were scored tonight for the Philadelphia Flyers.
Scoring chances 10-8, and many of those chances coming from, as you put it, the green zone right down in front of the net. Power plays, not a big factor. 0 for 1 and 0 for 2. And another glass problem. Bookend glass problems. One at the other end last period, one at the other end here tonight in this period.
Fine night in front of his hometown fans here, or I shouldn't say his hometown, his Philadelphia Flyer fans, who, as we pointed out in the second period, I think the Philadelphia Flyer fans respect the job that Ron Hextall has done this year, and so does the media here, but it tends to be the rest of the hockey world that is questioning Ron Hextall's abilities to lead this team to the Stanley Cup. I'd almost be saying that this year Ron Hextall's probably played better than he has in the past, and yet still that question mark is there. There's even talk about maybe John Van Beesbrook being sought after by Bob Clarke, and especially the fact that Van Beesbrook is a free agent at the end of the season. Hasn't played well, nor have the Florida Panthers, and John Van Beesbrook played very well for both Bob Clarke and Roger Nielsen when they were together in Florida.
Although the Panthers are adamant that they will sign Van Beesbrook and keep him there in Florida. I think he's pretty happy living down in Florida as well.
I think, but I'm not so sure after the 6 goals last night whether he's too happy in the first period. In fact, suggested this morning that actually last night after the game that maybe it was time for a change for him. And that was the first I've heard that out of John Van Beesbrook.
Puck cleared in by the Flyers. Forbes up looking for it. Here's Forbes. Looks in front. He has Sillinger there. Pass cut off by Yuskevich. Niederma for the Flyers. We are early in the third period, 2-0. Philadelphia lead Toronto. Here's Sullivan. Oh, cut to the forehand and couldn't get it in. Sullivan was right there on the mark and couldn't control it after he pulled it to the forehand.
Sullivan's had a goal and a couple assists in the last 5 games. In fact, the assist on the most important goal, the winning goal on Saturday night at Matthew Snyder School.
Here's Klatt with a shot. That's pulled down by Potvin. Korolev with it. Clears it up ahead. Yuskevich to the line. Bear isn't crisscrossing there with him. King up looking for it. Chris King. He was then knocked down behind the play. The fans loving that. And then King knocked Hextall down, and he's going to take a penalty. And then Gratton jumps King. And away we go.
You knew that was going to happen. King took Hextall down. King got caught for it. And the Flyers wanted him to pay. Chris King hasn't missed a game this year for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he's going toe-to-toe with big Chris Gratton.
Chris Gratton doesn't fight a lot. He's a big guy, and as is quite evident here, he can handle himself.
Well, again, Gratton's 6'4", 218 pounds. But King will get the extra penalty for hauling down Ron Hextall. I think Gratton and King will both be done after that long fight. This is how it all got started. Way back in the Flyers' end, Hextall was once again out of his net. And as King was coming out after he had been knocked down, watch what he does right here. He just took the leg right out from underneath of Ron Hextall, and that brought the dance.
And what Gratton did there will certainly win him some points, not only with his teammates, but certainly with his coach. Not so much the fight, but the fact that he jumped in after the guy who knocked his goaltender down. That is against the hockey code.
Yes, it is, and well, it should be. We'll see whether Gratton gets the aggressor, though. Yeah, he's getting it. Gratton's going off.
Well, Gratton picks up an instigator penalty. So he gets the toss.
Bauer, leave an impression.
Well, the fans going wild here, reacting to the penalty.
Earlier, Sullivan had an excellent opportunity. Watch this, folks. He's in all alone. Dekes Hextall and had Hextall beat, too. But that puck was rolling. You can see how it was rolling. It just rolled right off of his stick before he was able to shoot. He knew where he had to put it. He beat Hextall as he went to Hextall's left. Hextall was down, but that was a key miss for the Toronto Maple Leafs. It would have put them within one.
Just to go over the penalties for you. Chris King picks up 2 minutes for tripping, 5 minutes for fighting, and then Gratton picks up 5 minutes for fighting, 2 minutes for instigating the fight, and 2 10-minute misconducts.
He picked up the extra 10-minute misconduct for probably words that were said. Isn't that a song, Paul? I don't think Chris Gratton was singing any songs when he went off, but he was a little upset. But again, the job was done on his part. He won't get in any trouble from his coaches for defending his goaltender.
So the teams are 5-on-5, no man advantage situation. And here comes Sean Podine. Fires it in. Zubris moving up after him. Schneider trying to hold off Podine. Matt Sundin will start off. Sundin twisted his way to his own blue line. No further. Brindamore coming in. Here comes Zubris. Couldn't get a shot away. The puck was bouncing on him. Plus, he was being very closely marked as he moved into the slot. And offside called there in the Flyers. 15:58 to go, third period. 2-0 Philadelphia leading here. More scoring in that Montreal-Calgary game. Here's Gord.
Well, and here the Toronto Maple Leafs have yet to be able to score on Ron Hextall. The Philadelphia Flyers are already the third best team in the National Hockey League when it comes to their defensive abilities. Let's see whether they can protect this lead. That would make Roger Neilson a happy coach. That's one thing that Roger has always, like other coaches, prided themselves on, is having teams that can defend the lead.
And when the Leafs have gotten a decent chance in this game, Ron Hextall has been right there. He's made some big saves.
It looks exactly as that's the mindset of the Philadelphia Flyers right now. Defense.
Here's Domi up after it. Tried to get it in front. Hendrickson and Derek King are in the vicinity. Now a race for the puck, and there's that speed from Day. Day moves up. Sillinger in front. Scores! Good night. Day with a blast of speed. Got it in front to Sillinger. And it's 3-0 Flyers.
Yeah, speed kills all right. And Zettler had to try to defend against Day. He knew he was in big-time trouble. Took a dive at Day, but Day just set Sillinger up perfectly. And what a guy to set up, too. Sillinger has the third-best shooting percentage in the National Hockey League. He needs to shoot more, but when he shoots, he's an accurate shooter. Sillinger has now scored 15 goals, and I believe 68 shots this year.
Sillinger gets the goal. Dig with an assist at 4:51. So it is 3-0 for the Flyers. Sundin down in the corner. Pressured there along the boards by Joel Otto. Now Johnson in front for Sundin. And just didn't have enough room to work. LeClaire hurrying back the other way. Shoots! That one zips off the glass. Otto moving up after it. In for LeClaire. Lost an edge there, or he may have been able to get to that puck and center it. Here's Sundin back for Toronto. Modine trying to get to the puck. He was being held up. Johnson looking forward as well, but the Flyers prevail. Niedema rushing out to center. Zubris cut in, offside called on the Flyers. I believe it was Podine over on the left wing who was a stride ahead.
Nice combination, Daig and Sillinger. Well, congratulating each other, but it was Alexander Daig's great speed that created the opportunity for Sillinger. Roger Neilson having a discussion with them right now. I don't think, by the way, that Roger was using his descriptive hands there, that it really had anything to do with the way that they scored the goal. I think it had something to do maybe with the way that they had to pick up their man coming back and where they should have gone defensively.
Zubris up after it. Schneider gets it ahead to Smith. Sullivan in over the line. Tries to fire it through. Sullivan back of the net. Trying to step out to hit the back of the net, and Sullivan lost it. Brindamore has the puck now. 13:35 to go in the third period. 3-0 Flyers lead. Here's Sullivan. Barrison is up there with him. And a penalty coming up. And this will go against the Flyers.
Sullivan got knocked off balance. Flyer fans don't like it. Obstruction will be the call, and the Leafs will get their opportunity here. Unfortunately for the Leafs, their power play One of the worst in the National Hockey League, and here's where they need a power play to try to get back into the game. Peter Svoboda ends up just hooking Sullivan and takes the penalty. Matthew Schneider is lined up right in about the same position as he was on Saturday night when Sullivan pulled the puck back to him and he used a wrist shot. We'll see whether Matt Sundin, who could, if he wins it cleanly, pull it right back to Schneider. Schneider in the same position.
Sundin, Modin, and Derek King up front for the Leafs to start the power play off. Schneider and Brown back at the blue line. Here's Johnson. Back for Schneider. Here's King. Sundin back of the net. Here's Sundin again. Johnson down low takes it. Back for Sundin. Back for Johnson. Tried to get it in front for Schneider, and the puck goes up over the glass. I believe I said Modin was out there in the power play, but in fact it's Johnson out there with 1:34 to go in the man advantage. Let's check out action in New York. Here's Gordon.
What the Leafs have got to try to do on this power play is get some shots from the point. Matthew Schneider would be a good one at that. They actually have had a man in this very short time on the power play in front of the net. They need to shoot more.
The Leafs 5 points back of a playoff spot coming into this game tonight. Here comes Sundin. Stopped at the line. 1:15 to go on the power play. Sundin laboring to get out. He was being held up a little bit by Sean Podine. This is Derek King. 1 minute left in the power play. And here comes King. Gets it up ahead. Sundin. Had it knocked away from him.
The puck was bouncing when it was passed to Sundin, and he wasn't able to hang on to it.
Johnson. That's broken up. Richardson sends it back the other way. 40 seconds left in the power play.
Frustrated lead forward line heads to the bench.
Now here comes Modin. Lost it to Richardson, who gets it out. Otto after the puck. Zettler back there to head him off. Here's Berezin. Only 15 seconds left in the power play. Sullivan up ahead to Berezin. Sullivan moves up after it. Broken up by Samuelsson. Up off the glass, Brind'Amour trying to get it out the rest of the way. Klatt will do the job, and that will do it for the Toronto power play. Didn't get a shot. Haven't had a shot on goal in 2 power plays tonight, in fact. Here's Zubras. Up ahead to Niinema. Modin trying to get to it. Now Berezin. Ricochets it off the boards. The Leafs will get in a change. 10:50 to go here in the 3rd period. Chris Therien clears it down into the corner. Flyers on a change. Domi. Up to Hendrickson. Back through for Domi. And Domi is going to take a penalty, a slashing call. He gave a little tap to Ron Hextall as he went by. And all eyes, including those of the referee Terry Gregson, were on Domi. He'll head to the box. One of the best gigs at the network that is covering spring training baseball. Dan Shulman, Buck Martinez, and the gang will be in Lakeland, Florida on Saturday for a game at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. The Blue Jays against the Detroit Tigers. It's a 10 a.m. start in the Pacific time zone.
Ty Domi sitting in the penalty box for slashing Ron Hextall. Bad penalty at a bad time, but the Leafs, even when they were on the power play, couldn't get a shot on Ron Hextall, and it doesn't look right now the way that the Philadelphia Flyers have been playing so well defensively and have been getting to the puck quickly. The Leafs are going to be able to muster up much of a scoring opportunity, and certainly not while they're trying to kill it.
This is Luke Richardson with the puck for the Flyers. Just clears it in. 10 minutes to go in the 3rd period.
The Flyers fans booed their last power play because they didn't get any shots towards the net. And yet John LeClair on the last power play was parked in front of Felix Potvin. I don't think the fans like that. You see, LeClair standing in front of the net and taking the abuse, and those pucks coming his way.
Here's Niederma, shoots. Rebound off the boards. LeClair after it. McCowan bumping him, but LeClair comes away with the puck. Nobody in front right now. LeClair making his way there. Niederma has it. Niederma up to Day. Tried to center it. Puck pinballs around a little bit and is cleared out.
And see, that's frustrating for forwards. Sometimes defensemen wonder why forwards, when they're on the power play, don't put the puck back to them. But then when they don't shoot the puck and the forwards stand in front of the net and take the abuse, that's one of the reasons they don't put it back.
There's Terry right in front of the net. Puck rolls around. The Leafs prevail. Johnson gets it out to center. Dean there was just looking for a bounce to get away with a short-handed chance, but it was not to be. 32 seconds left in the power play.
It's the old story on the power play. When you're asked to go in front of the net and you go in front of the net, then the defensemen better do two things. They better get the shot away, and they better keep it down, not up around your head. And if the defensemen do that, the forwards will give them the puck, a lot more often on the power play. If they don't shoot it, or if they shoot it high, the forwards will keep it down low and to themselves.
Seconds to go in the Flyers power play. Not a real pressing need for offense here. With a 3-0 lead. Ron Hextall playing well. It's going to be tough for the Leafs. Even if the Flyers don't add another goal. With 10 seconds to go in this power play. Here's Darby. Brindamore tried to feed it back. Skips out. Svoboda skating back after it. Penalized player back on. Domi comes out of the box. Teams at even strength. Rising shot there, wrestled away by Potvin. That was off the stick of Colin Forbes. Pass up ahead for Sullivan. Trying to get outside on Richardson. Hextall out to play it away. Now Domi with it. Domi along the boards. And tied up by Samuelson. Make that Otto, who's working him over away from the puck. Korolev clears it in. Now Samuelson goes after it. Here's Forbes. Back for Richardson. Around to Samuelson. 7:40 to go. Third period. 3-0. Flyers lead. Forbes in over the blue line. Domi into the corner. Now here's Sillinger. Plays it across. Niederma. Back for Forbes. Tried to get a backhander away, but he was knocked down by Derek King. Sillinger knocked it down. Snaps it across for Lacroix. Brown trying to tie him up. Lacroix in the corner. Sillinger's in front. Off the iron. Sillinger with that accurate shot of his. Almost got his second. Lacroix gets it in front, but Derek King picks it up for the Leafs, and he'll start back.
And here the ping off the crossbar all the way up to the top of this building. Sillinger really got away a good wrist shot.
And Lacroix, meanwhile, right over in front of the Leaf bench.
Yeah, but he's talking to Sullivan. I don't think Lacroix really was about to drop his gloves against Sullivan.
It's 28 you were probably looking for, not 11. Well, it's always great to watch the Chicago Bulls in action. You'll get a chance to see them against Vancouver. I would say the better of the two Canadian NBA teams. And that's coming up Friday, 7:30 Eastern Time.
Sillinger a goal scorer tonight, and Sillinger having a great opportunity right here, folks. He got that good wrist shot away right off the pipe and was frustrated that it went off of the pipe instead of in the net.
Niederma plays it up ahead for Sillinger. He's 4-on-4 with 6:30 to go here in the third period. 3-0 Flyers lead. Puck centered in front. Sillinger drifting through, almost chopped it into the backhand. Schneider for Toronto starting back. Has Yuskevich up to his left, but goes to his right for Hendrickson. He was bounced by Svoboda, but Hendrickson hanging in there. Plays the puck to Schneider. Back for Yuskevich. Shoots it up. That's knocked away. That was Derek King in front trying to get something going. Meanwhile, Flyers come back in. Pass up for Leclaire. Offside is called on the Flyers. Let's check out action in Boston while we take a breather here. Gord?
All controversy.
No danger of OT in this game at the present time. The Leafs with just under 6 minutes to go, and they'll really have to crank up the offense.
A little over a minute remaining on the penalties to Sullivan and Lacroix who's slashing.
Brendan Moore shoots. Nice tip by Leclaire, but an even better save by Potvin. Did he ever react?
You've got to control Leclerc's stick, though, whenever he's anywhere close to that net. He's got great hands, and he knows that if he gets that stick onto the ice, the puck just may find his stick blade. When you've got the touch, you've got the touch.
Just a great pair of hands, and John Leclaire has him. Nice move there to pick up a goal.
He went to the backhand on just a beauty on that one, but he can score from almost any position at any time. He's got a big slap shot, a great wrist shot, and he can deflect pucks right by goaltenders. He almost did on that last one on Felix Potvin.
Looked like Jeff Brown had him. He had him tied up, but his hands were loose, the stick was loose, and he almost surprised Potvin.
It's the stick you've got to control when a man is going to the front of the net, and especially when that man has scored as many goals as John Leclaire has.
Here comes Podine. Steps in, and that is deflected up over the glass and out of play. Overtime in Boston, and it is over. Gord, how did it end?
Well, Dmitry Kristich scored the tying goal and then sets up the winner. Steve Hines goes in. Great move here and beats Mark Fitzpatrick. Bruins win it at home 4-3 in overtime.
Up to the...
They could be in pretty good shape, but they got to play a lot better. I'd say it's pretty good shape. 5 points behind is a long ways at this time of the year. A long ways to catch up. At the same time, your schedule can really work with you.
Sullivan and Lacroix step back onto the ice, so we're back to 5-on-5 with just under 5 minutes to go in the third period.
But the Leafs, I'm sure, didn't.
Puck given away there. Sundin couldn't capitalize.
Svoboda just gave that puck right away at Sundin, but Sundin hasn't been sharp tonight.
Johnson gets it up ahead for Sundin.
He just had an off night. He's had a tough time to go in the puck.
Here's Forbes looking for some help. The Flyers were on a chain. Sillinger in front, scores! Forbes! Wow, what a tip! Colin Forbes from Sillinger, and the Flyers are up 4-0.
Well, Forbes went to the front of the net, and as we showed you at the start of this period, the Leafs in the second period of play had trouble controlling the Philadelphia Flyers. They had too many shots from this area, right in front of the net. Matthew Schneider should have been able to control Forbes, at least his stick. That he didn't do. Schneider's has a great opportunity when it comes to the offensive part of his game. On the defensive part of the game, he can be frustrated.
Flyers goal, scorer number 12, Colin Forbes.
Here's Forbes with the puck. He was bumped by King.
The 11th of the season. The assistant for 11, Mike Sillinger.
So it is 4-0 for the Flyers.
Time 15 minutes.
And really the only big issue left to decide in this game is whether or not Hextall can pick up the shutout. He has one career shutout against the Leafs. Here comes Leclaire. Shoots. Oh, wired that one, and Potvin snared it, and he holds on. 3:25 to go in the third period. Forbes has a couple tonight for the Flyers. Big night for Mike Sillinger with a goal and a couple of assists. Colin Forbes with a pair of goals, one in the dying second. Half a second left in the second period, and one here in the third.
Roger Nielsen is like this young man so far. Roger says that without Eric Lindros, there is one advantage, and that is that he's getting an opportunity to see the team without Eric Lindros. He knows what Eric Lindros can do and knows how much they're going to need Eric Lindros, but at the same time, a lot of other players are going to get that much more ice time while Eric Lindros is out.
Well, Otto and Zettler mixing it up while LeClaire walks in, and there's Zettler and Otto tumble to the ice.
LeClaire went in on a breakaway with Yuskevich right on him, not knowing what was going on behind him.
Ty Domi is standing just out of that crowd, having words with a couple of Flyers as well.
But again, as you pointed out earlier in this hockey game, Ty Domi doesn't want to fight because he's got two mitts that are in bad shape.
3:03 to go here, and more to tell you about in that Rangers-Ottawa game. Here's Gord.
Not over yet, is it?
Oh, as Domi and Svoboda started to get into it.
Well, that's kind of an unlikely matchup.
Time 16 minutes, 57 seconds. Rob Zettler.
Well, I think Terry Gregson may just, he's just going to get Ty Domi out of there.
And a 4-0 hockey game, only 3 minutes and 3 seconds remaining in this hockey game, and it's over. Terry Gregson would like to get it over a little faster. Svoboda is heading off. I think he's heading to the dressing room as well. He just wanted to make sure as he was leaving that Ty Domi had also gone to the dressing room. Well, for Roger Nielsen's team and his assistant coach and friend Wayne Cashman, they're on a pretty good roll right now. The Flyers were unbeaten in 5 games here in the building before the Leafs game tonight. That'll make it 6 now. And the Philadelphia Flyers are a team with some pretty good confidence. Beating the Detroit Red Wings the way they did on Saturday helps their confidence out immensely.
Outscored their opponents 18-10. And Alexander Daigle coming off of what he says is or was the best week of his professional career. He had a game-winning goal in overtime against Pittsburgh, game-tying goal against New Jersey, an assist and a win over Vancouver, and the hat trick against Detroit. This was the winner against Pittsburgh, and that was I was talking earlier in the game about Daigle and his speed. There was a great example of it there. He just turned it up, split the defense, and ended up getting the goal.
And then the tying goal against New Jersey. Alexander Daigle with 7 shots on Saturday, his 3 goals. He's been on a roll, and he's played well again here tonight. Setting up Sillinger with his great speed.
Here comes Sundin, moving in. Sundin scores! And you talk about another talented offensive player, Mats Sundin right there.
Well, Sundin's had a frustrating night. The puck hasn't bounced for him, and he knows with 2:46 to go in this game that one was a little bit too late, but hey, you never know. Mats Sundin faked the shot initially, looked as though he was going to shoot, and then just went to the backhand. Hextall got a piece of it, but not enough of it, and it went in to ruin his shutout anyway. Sundin with the little deke and then went high as Hextall went low.
2:40 to go, 4-1. The Flyers lead. Sundin picks up the goal. Samuelson chops at it. Here's Bodine. Fire that wrist shot wide. Richardson at the blue line. Team's playing 4-on-4. Here's Brindamore. Centers it in front of the net. And Brown was draped over Podine like a coat. Sundin in over the blue line. Berezin going for the front of the net. Schneider was up there too, but the puck cleared back out. Here's Brown. Now Richardson with it. That's an unassisted goal, by the way, for Mats Sundin, his 28th of the year at 17-14.
16 minutes and 57 seconds.
Brind'Amour. Now LeClaire with it. Under 2 minutes to go. Sullivan. Long shot, eye high, pulled down by Hextall. Here comes LeClaire. Daig hustling up towards the net as well. Pass comes across. It was tipped on the way through and didn't get to Daig. Johnson in over the blue line. Sullivan's up there with him. Sullivan chops at it. 1:20 to go. Niinimaa got it across to LeClaire. Steps in over the line. Daig is with him. LeClaire shooting. Potvin, nice leg save. Sullivan coming out. Sullivan trying to barge his way through. Less than a minute to go. And the Philadelphia Flyers is putting the finishing touches on what will be another home ice victory. They are tough to beat in this building. It will be their 20th home ice win of the year. 20 of their 35 wins coming here at home. That's an offside pass to Hendrickson. 34 seconds remaining. Coming up after the game, Gord Miller, Bob McKenzie will recap a busy night in the NHL. Then you can get a complete recap of the night in sports. Sports Desk, Darren Natishin and Mike Toth coming your way at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. There was no scoring in the first period of this game. The Philadelphia Flyers pouring in a couple in the second. 2 more here in the third. Mats Sundin, the only goal scorer for Toronto. So the Leafs' 3-game winning streak will come to an end. Here's Richardson. Plays it up. Zubras got it in over the blue line. Podine charging up. Has it along the boards. He was given a bump. Zubras after it. Tied up by Hendrickson. 10 seconds to go. Podine and Hendrickson along the board. Zubras picks it up on the wraparound. That was stopped. And it's held by Potvin with 3.9 seconds remaining. And this loss really putting an end to what was a pretty good run for the Leafs. They had only given up 7 goals in their last 5 games. And in fact, Felix Potvin in the last 3 games, all of which were wins by the Leafs, had only given up 3 goals on a total of 90 shots. But that was all what was. What is tonight is a victory by the Flyers decisively. 4-1 the final. The Flyers end up getting 28 shots on goal and just put a little punctuation mark on it with some pushing and shoving after the game was over down in the Leaf end. Ron Hextall, though, boy, he was the story for the Flyers, especially in the first half of the game when it was close. He made some great stops. So Hextall and the Flyers pick up the win. As I mentioned a few moments ago, their 20th home ice win of the year. They are 28-5 on home ice. 4-1 the final. 3 stars. Colin Forbes picks up a couple of goals, and he is star number 3 tonight. Mike Sillinger with a great night, a goal and 2 assists. Almost had a second goal, but rang it off the crossbar. Ron Hextall picks up his 12th career victory against the Leafs. He is star number 1. He is career 12-5-1 against Toronto. Solid game tonight. More still to come.
I used to work for his grandfather. Anyway, we're with you till the top of the clock here with our NHL Tonight post-game coverage. We will talk about Dominik Hasek with another tremendous performance yesterday, making a run for his 2nd consecutive MVP award. Bob McKenzie will stop in and talk about the future, some free agents, unrestricted and otherwise, as the NHL trading deadline looms. And we'll drop in live on the game between Los Angeles and San Jose, a game that has some definite playoff ramifications for teams in the Western Conference. Right now, let's get you caught up to date on games that have been completed on this night in the National Hockey League. The New York Rangers home to the Ottawa